Very good morning to all. I hope you all are doing fine.
Good morning, madam.
So John Quincy Adams quoted that if your action inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the equality of his action and integrity of his intent. To bring us insights of leadership, today we have with us our principal, Sir Professor J. Matthew George. Matthew Sir joined St. Mary's College as principal in 2016. Prior to joining St. Mary's College, he was an associate professor at IBS Hyderabad and headed the Center for Entrepreneurship Development of the ICFI University. An economist by training, he is an alumnus of the University of Hyderabad and Madras Christian College. He is also an alumnus of the International Visitor Leadership Program and has visited some of the top universities in the US, including MIT and Howard Langston, University of California at San Diego, and New York State University. His areas of academic interest are spread over education, economics, and entrepreneurship. So I take this opportunity to invite Matthew, sir, for the session. All over to you, sir.
Thank you, Payal ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I can share my screen, right?
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Yes, sir, you can share.
Is the screen sharing on, Payal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all. I think I've met some of you. You walked into campus for your admissions. Many of you have not yet met. I actually look forward to meeting all of you. Hopefully in about a month's time, we should be back on campus, physically resuming your semester 1. So I actually look forward to interacting with you all then. You've been having this series on foundations of management, and I think it is very important to have these foundational courses before you start your BBA semester 1, because some of these things, everybody assumes that they are known. And then what happens is some things which are foundational, because everyone assumes it is known and no one actually covers it, you end up missing some of those. So I'm really glad that the Department of Management, the head of the department and the others, and Payal ma'am and all the other teachers have thought about running a program like this. This, I'm sure, will hold you all in good stead. I hope you have enjoyed your sessions so far. I would like to keep this as interactive as possible. So maybe you can feel free to ask in between, or if required, we will, stop the presentation in between and then take a few questions. Or if you prefer the other way around, we will take the questions towards the end. All right. So I've titled my today's session as Leadership Foundation for Managers. The reason I've put it this way, of course, the session is on leadership, and the series that you're doing, the certificate course, is called Foundations for Management. And I've put it as Foundations for Managers because the fact is that most of us, when we are signing up for a program like BBA, you are actually signing up to be a manager. All right. But I would want to start with this question: why be a leader? The reason I am asking this question is for multiple reasons. Primarily, I want to first of all state that leadership is not for everyone. somehow we are all conditioned to think that everyone should aspire to be a leader. So I want to set that thought aside. I don't think everyone should aspire to be a leader. So at the end of this session, I think you need to reflect and figure out whether you need to aspire for leadership or not. I think it's a good idea to aspire for leadership, but I'm again saying this, not everyone needs to be a leader. Okay. So, and you would understand why I'm saying this probably in some time, but hold that thought there. Second thing is, leadership is not management. Okay. So all of us in some way are aspiring to be managers. So let me take a pause here. Let me hear from you all. What do you think is the difference between a manager and a leader?
Sir, a manager manages the company, but the whole leadership role and the risk taking comes upon the leader. Like he
Okay.
leads the team, manager just manages the team.
Okay,
Like he coordinates all the activities among the people.
That's interesting, Mansi. Because I'm just trying to rephrase what you just said. What Mansi is trying to say is, managing can be about managing people, managing resources, right? And people are one kind of resources. Yeah. So managing is something that and managing is usually something entrusted to you by someone, right? So someone makes you a manager. You are appointed a manager and you are in charge of managing the resources. Resources include time, people, raw materials, right? All of those are resources. So when you are asked to manage those things, you become a manager. So then what is, or who is a leader? Mansi used the word leaders are people who lead. I mean, that's what he said, but then I think we need a little more clarity.
Sir, leader is a person who has a purpose to achieve something, to make something bigger. Okay. And a manager is someone who is in an authority, who controls everyone.
Okay.
But leader influences the people.
Okay. So I like what Arun said. I mean, you know, what Arun is trying to say is a leader has a purpose. I will not get into the second part of what he said, but let me focus on what he just said about leader as a purpose. I would like to put it in simpler terms. That is, a leader is someone who takes you along to a destination what the leader has seen for himself or herself. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So a leader is someone, Mansi used the word, that a leader is someone who leads. But you know what? I cannot, so if I'm keeping the team or resources in the same place, I'm not leading you anywhere. To lead is to take you from where you are to some other place. Are you with me? That is what leadership. So Arun used the word purpose. So I see a place where all of us are, and I think if we can get somewhere else, that we would all be better off. And I am leading you from this place to that. That is leadership. Whereas management, in a sense, is about, I've been entrusted a responsibility. I've been given some resources to manage, and I manage them efficiently. I can be a good manager, a bad manager, but if I'm a good manager, basically I'm still in the same place. I might be incrementally growing where I am, but I am managing what has been given to me. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Okay. On the other hand, as a leader, I am taking you someplace better as an organization, as a team, as a group of people, as a family, as a set of friends. If together I'm taking you somewhere else, then I'm being a leader. When I say somewhere else, not necessarily physically, it is figuratively as well. We all are growing together and then we become better at something. That is leadership. So this is one reason why I said leadership is not for everyone, because if I cannot see a better future ahead, if I cannot see a clearer picture of where I am taking you, I am misguiding you, not leading you. Are you with me? I can only take you to a place which I can see for myself, which means leaders are imaginative. Leaders see things in the eyes of their imagination before they actually become things or go there. One example, we all talk about entrepreneurs as, big entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, right? We talk about Bill Gates, we talk about, Steve Jobs, we talk about any of those big guys, successful entrepreneurs. There's one thing in common between all of them, what is that? That is, they all saw something in the eyes of their imagination before it actually became a product or a service. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? An iPhone is something that first originated in some Steve Jobs' vision. The dream of having a PC in every household was a dream that Bill Gates saw in his mind long before PCs were of the current shape that you have. I don't know if you know this, when Bill Gates talked about having a computer in every home, computers usually were of the size of big rooms. So we are not visualizing that part. When computers were of the size of big rooms and they were disproportionately huge, when it was something that most people couldn't afford, Bill Gates talked about a PC, a personal computer in every home. And today it is there, it's a reality. But the point is, Bill Gates saw it in the eyes of his imagination before any of that actually translated into reality. So a leader knows where he or she is taking the team to, because he or she has seen something which others have not seen, which also means something interesting, which means if you do not have a destination, if you do not have a direction, if you do not have a purpose, like Arun rightly said, then you can be a manager, but you cannot be a leader. If you don't have a place to take others, if there is no better place you are taking them to, then you are not leading anyone. You're misguiding people. Now, this is something most people don't understand when they aspire for leadership. Almost everyone likes to be a leader, but they don't understand that if they don't have a place to take their people to, if they don't have a bigger picture to attract their people to, then they really are not leading. The last thing that I wanted to talk about in this context is leadership is not hierarchy. What is hierarchy? I mean, if you have an organization, you have, top management, middle management, lower management, and so on, right? That's a hierarchy that we call. Leadership has no hierarchy. If you have a follower, you are a leader. And if you don't have a follower, you can be the CEO of the company, but you're not a leader. A leader without a follower is not a leader. He's not leading anyone anyway. Are you with me? A manager can manage resources, and the resource could include human resource, his team members. And because he has a designation and authority, people might listen to him. But that is not leadership. That is a manager making use of the authority that is given to him by someone else for managing what has been asked to him by somebody else. So it is technically possible that somebody could be the prime minister of a country of, 500 million or 1 billion or 100 crore or 10 crore people and still be holding a position and not be a leader. Maybe some of you who have 3 people following you, your set of friends following you, maybe you are a bigger leader than someone with an authority, someone with a bigger hierarchical position. So the question is not whether you are leading 100 people or 100 million people. The question is whether are you leading people or not. You are leading someone, then you are a leader. You are not leading someone, you are not a leader, irrespective of where you come in the organization hierarchy. Are we clear till now? Right? So this is something that I want you to understand before we move any further. All right. I've just put a table kind of thing there about what leadership is, what leadership is not. I'm not going to discuss too much about these things. You already know it. But a couple of things that I want to touch upon. Somehow, the moment you hear the word power, power, everybody aspires for power, but somehow people dislike the use of power, which means, power is seen as something where you misuse or use your authority in a way that you shouldn't be doing, kind of thing. But you know what is the greatest power? The greatest power is, again, something which Arun referred to as influence. If you have influence over your friends, you have some power, and that power is not coming from any position that you hold. Nobody has, made you the CEO of your friend circle, right? But you might still have power because you are able to influence people. Now, what is that power? Brand is a power. What is brand, by the way? If you're speaking, turn on the mic and speak. Just,
do you mean
what is
brand
brand?
in a commercial sense?
I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Sir, do you mean brand in like a commercial sense?
Any sense. So in commercial sense as well. So if I say brand, let's say brand Tata as a brand, or Google as a brand, or Apple as a brand. Yeah.
I think that brands also have a lot of influence and does have a power due to like goodwill and
Sir,
stuff.
a type of product manufactured by a particular company.
No, type is different. So the brand is something that you use to refer to a type, but the type is not the brand. So Wahida is, am I getting your name right? Wajiha, right?
Yes, Wajiha.
Wajiha is right in the sense that brand is influence again. So today, one example that I can think of, let's say you want a smart watch and you are Googling for it, or you're searching on Amazon. You see, if you search for any product on Google, you might get 100, 200 search results. But what happens when one of the results that you get is a brand, is that you spend less time searching for it. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? When the search results throw up a list of things, none of which are known brands, what happens? You spend much more time searching and identifying features, reviews, and things like that. The moment you get a brand which you like already, what happens? You don't spend much time searching for it, which means the time you are investing in research is much less when it comes to a brand. In other words, you trust the brand. Oh, this brand is producing something, then it must be good, right? Now, Wajiha talked about it in the terms of, in the sense of corporate brands, but you know what? Every one of you can be brands as well. There is a brand Matthew, there's a brand Payal ma'am, there's a brand Wajiha, there is a brand Arun. There is, you know what? It takes some time to build that brand, but that brand comes with certain features. If brand Udbhav is known as someone, if Udbhav is known as someone, he says something, you can trust him to do it. That's a brand, because the next time, or 3 times later, 4 times later, when it comes to a work that needs to be given where dependability is criteria, people immediately say, for that Udbhav is the right person. You don't spend time wasting time for decision making. That's again influence. That's power. Sometimes we think power is about making other people do stuff for you. But the truth is, power is your ability to do stuff for them as well. Because when people depend on you for certain things, I can give you another example. I'm sure among you, there'll be some of you who are the most sought after ones a day before the exams. Your friends come and say, please teach me this. I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about within you, because that's how some of us would always be known. Okay, oh, this, I am in doubt, I am in trouble, this is the person I need to go to. Trust me, that's power. Trust me, that is influence. Trust me, that is brand. A leader must be a brand. And when I say brand in this sense, it is not just about being a corporate brand, it is about being an individual brand. So all of us, I'm saying, if you aspire to be a leader, you need to be developing your brand as well. And brand is almost always about consistency. Imagine if you are buying a product of, let's say an Apple. So you say, I mean, it is an Apple iPhone, but I don't know whether it will work or not. You don't say that. If it is an iPhone, you know for a fact that it will work, right? And in case by a rare chance, if something doesn't work, you know that the company will replace that product. You're sure about it. You don't have a doubt about it. That is consistency. That is reliability. That is credibility, right? So this is an essential feature of a brand. But you know what the trouble is? Building a brand which is consistent, reliable, credible is not an overnight job. It is something that takes years to go. And that is one more reason why I'm saying leadership is not for everyone. If you cannot be consistent, if you cannot do your research, if you cannot lead people to the right destinations, you cannot be a leader. You can still be a manager, because manager is someone and makes you a manager, and you manage resources, you can still be a manager. And so this is again a key feature that I wanted to talk about. The other aspect that I want to talk about is, I use the word creating ripples. What is a ripple, by the way?
It's an effect in the water that continues to spread out.
Yeah.
Creating waves in water.
In a
when
sense.
something falls in it.
Okay, that's interesting, because it is
Creating
waves.
Creating waves in water is a ripples.
Excellent. Now the beauty of it is, let us say you are standing on a seashore and you're seeing waves. Okay, the waves could have originated somewhere, right? In most cases, you will not even be able to identify where the waves originated or who caused those ripples in the first place. A smaller pond, you will probably be able to identify where the ripple started. The bigger the pool is, the bigger the lake is, the bigger the water body is, you are unlikely to identify where it originated. You know why I'm talking about this? Most of us like to be given credit for the waves that we create. And this is a problem, because ripples, in most cases, you cannot identify the source. But true leadership is actually about creating ripples. You do something, that something causes a wave, and eventually it goes so far away that no one really understands that you are the one who started it. Are you okay with that? If you are not okay with creating ripples for which you don't get credit, then you can't be a leader. You can still be a manager. You know why I'm saying this? Because most managers hog credit. In fact, most managers take credit for the work that their team members do as well. Unfortunately so. And you see all the time this happening. Whereas when it comes to leadership, as Arun rightly said earlier, leadership is about purpose. It is not about whether you are getting the credit for it or not. Your intention is to take everyone along to a better place. Your satisfaction is in seeing others have grown with you. Your reward, true reward, is actually about having ensured that everyone has moved to a better place, because you first saw that in the eyes of your imagination. That is not the manager's reward. The manager's reward is credit, better pay, and sometimes some award or recognition and things like that. Again, so I come back to the point. Leadership, therefore, is not for everyone. And leadership is not a popularity contest either, because as leaders, when you want to take people to a better place, sometimes your team members don't see where you are taking them. Sometimes they may resist change. In fact, change is difficult. There is something called inertia, right? Change is resistance. So when you want to take somebody to a better place, things may not be easy. You may have to, encourage, motivate. You may lose patience. But if your purpose is to take people to a better place, you stop worrying about the resistance. You start focusing on the outcomes. And that is why I said it is not about popularity contest. It is about taking people to a better place. That essentially means something interesting, right? If you are a leader, you have to ensure that people can get along with you. You know why? Because if people can't get along with you, you can't take them along with you. I repeat, if you are not someone who others can't get along with, how do you take them along with to a better destination? When it comes to managers, well, because you have an authority given to you by someone else, people may not get along with you. People might still do what you are asking because, well, authority, right? So this is a big difference that you need to understand. And again, I would encourage people to aspire for leadership, but understand that leadership is not for everyone. All right. Now, assuming that you understand what is leadership, I want to talk about leadership, good leadership, and great leadership. The first prerequisite, as I said, is leadership. Leaders require a vision, which others don't have, which means leaders are seeing something which others don't see. If leaders are seeing what everyone else is seeing, there's no big deal in saying they are leaders, right? What are you? You're not really taking them along. They are all going along with you because they can see the destination as much as you can. There is no big leadership there. But leaders who can see places or see destinations, see goals, see objectives, which your team members cannot see, but still you are able to take them to that higher place. That is good leadership. But what makes a good leader a great leader? I'm putting three things there. One is IQ. We call it intelligence. You know what intelligence is, right? I don't want to get more space, spend more time talking about intelligence. But trust me, intelligence at some level is overrated. And consistency is underrated. Most of us fail in stuff we try to do, not because we are not intelligent, but because we are not consistent. The first sight of resistance and you want to give up.
Sir, what you said is right. What you said is right now, sir. Intelligence is overrated.
Yeah. Intelligence is overrated because many people think that, leadership and success and stuff like that is all about intelligence. Trust me, that is not the case. Because if that was the case, every person there's hardly anybody who's not intelligent. Where we lack is actually about is grit or determination or persistence. Anybody who is trying to be an athlete, anybody who's trying to be a bodybuilder, anybody who's trying to develop a skill, anyone who is trying to learn a musical instrument, anyone who is trying to learn a foreign language, you will know what I'm saying. The difference between success and failure is not about intelligence. It is about persistence. It's about grit. It's about not giving up. If you are not someone who cannot have grit, if you are not someone who is not persistent, again, you may be able to be managing things, but you cannot be a leader. So this is something that I would like to talk about a little more, because the difference between a good leader and great leader is not about intelligence for sure, because intelligence is a necessary condition. It has to be there, but it is not a sufficient condition. You understand the difference between what is necessary and what is sufficient? Something which I say is a necessary condition, without which you cannot do it. But when I say it is not a sufficient condition, what I mean is not everyone who is intelligent can be a leader. Of course, intelligence is a necessary condition. You need intelligence to be a leader. But not everyone with intelligence can be a leader, because intelligence is not a sufficient condition. Similarly, technical abilities. If I want to work in the IT field, I have to know something about coding and stuff like that. If I have to, work in any particular field, I need to know the technical know-how. I need to understand that. Without that, I can't do it. But again, not a sufficient condition, but it is a necessary. So the best IT manager is not the best coder, but the best IT manager should know coding. That is different. So this is one thing that all of us need to understand. You need to have intelligence. You need to have technical know-how. But the biggest differentiating skill is what I call as emotional intelligence. Ulbaf, please tell me.
Can you also tell few lines about finance manager also?
Yeah, it is the same thing, in the sense, knowing how to manage finance is a necessary condition to be a good financial leader. But knowing how to manage finance is not sufficient to make you a finance leader. You can still be a manager. Are you with me? That is because at the end of the day, if you cannot see a goal which is bigger than what your team members can see, then you're not a leader. You can still be a manager. That is one reason why there is a, see, I have a vision for something. Let us say the college has a certain vision. Now, as a leader, I can keep sharing this vision. But there is a difference between shared vision and vision shared. Can somebody tell me the difference? There is a difference between a shared vision and vision shared. This is English.
Sorry, excuse me. Wahab here.
Yeah.
In a shared vision, and the entire team has the same vision, and they're all pursuing to get there. But in a vision shared, a leader has a particular vision, and he's sharing that vision with the entire team.
Yeah, so this is very, very interesting for you to understand that difference, because many a times managers will share their vision to their team members and say, look, this is what it is. But a leader's success depends on whether that vision is being shared by everyone. In other words, whether it is a common vision or not. Initially, the leader will be trying to share it, but others may not be able to see that. But over time, others start seeing that vision and making it their own vision. Now, what is going to be interesting at that stage is, actually speaking, at some point, your team members start believing that it is their own vision. They may stop giving you credit for having originated that vision because it has now become their own vision. But that is the true success of a leader. When your vision becomes our vision, that is when the team has actually been taken to the next place. Once you are able to do that, managers will be able to manage the show. But your ability to have led a team from a lower level of vision to a higher level of vision is a process which involves persuasion and perhaps even negotiation. Okay, so for which emotional intelligence matters more than IQ and technical abilities. In fact, the higher you go in leadership roles, when you're managing 2 people to when you're managing 200 people, you would see the role of emotional intelligence is what is growing, not the role of technical know-how. I'll give you one example. When you start off as a leader, you probably will be managing, when I say even now you might be a leader already because you have 2 friends who are following you. Okay, so if you have 2 friends or 3 friends or 5 friends who are following you, you are already a leader, not because, as I said, somebody gave you a CEO designation, because you have followers. But the difference would be when you have 3 friends as followers, you know, in English, they say the birds of a feather flock together. It is very likely that the ones who are following you are similar kind of people who are similar to you. So you don't need to probably think of cultural variations. You don't need to think about family background variations. You don't really need to look at all of it, because the fact that you are friends most likely at this stage tells me that they come from similar conditions. But when you are leading 300 people, or when you're leading a college like we have, what happens? It's very different. Your followers are not anymore similar people. Are you with me? The variations start increasing.
Yes, sir, I'm with you.
Yeah. So you have now people of different religions, people of different cultural backgrounds, people of different mother tongues, people of different sensibilities, people of different food tastes, people of different aspirations. The moment you want to lead a team with that kind of diversity, trust me, the most and perhaps the only significant aspect that would matter is emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence in that context? It is the ability to monitor your own feelings and those of others to guide thinking and behavior. One of the things that I always find is, in many situations, all these success gurus come and talk to you and say, just be yourself. Okay. And you will succeed. The fact is that is a really bad advice when it comes to leaders. It's a really bad advice when it comes to leaders, because I'll give you an example. Let us say I have my my team meeting, but I am in a bad mood because I did not sleep well last night. What would just be myself mean in that context? Just be myself in that context would mean I am irritated and I show my irritation, right? But the moment I am a leader and I have a team meeting, I have 12 members reporting to me, being myself because I didn't have a good night's sleep is a bad advice, because I have an impact on 12 other people. In turn, those 12 will have an impact on other people. What does that mean? That means if I am a leader, I need to keep my team first and then me. I did not sleep well. I am irritated, but sorry, I cannot have that fact come in between me and my team members. I need to ensure that they are not affected by my lack of sleep. Easy job? Not at all. Tough ask. Why do I do it still? Why do I, in spite of my not being, my not having slept or whatever it is, why would I keep all of that aside and still work hard to listen patiently to my people? That's hard work. I'm doing it because purpose is why I'm a leader, not because I have a position. So this is something that you need to understand, because I don't know if you know the story, and some of you would have known the story about Steve Jobs, where Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. You know that?
No, sir. I don't know about this.
Yeah. So when Steve Jobs founded Apple, at some point of time, Steve Jobs appointed a CEO for his company. Interestingly, at some point of time, the board members who Steve Jobs appointed for his own company threw Steve Jobs out of Apple. And Steve Jobs had to go out and start another company. All right. To cut a long story short, eventually the new company that Steve Jobs started was bought over by Apple company, and Steve Jobs came back to Apple and went on to get back as CEO of Apple company. You think that was cakewalk? No, that was a tough ask. Why would Steve Jobs not show his attitude to Apple when the company that he founded kicked him out? Why would he get back when he got an opportunity? Because purpose is more important than position. Today, if you know iPhones and the entire Apple ecosystem as brand Apple, that is because of Steve Jobs, but that is also because Steve Jobs decided that his ego is less important than the purpose he had. Yes, Udbhav.
He was kicked out, sir, but now Apple is one of the biggest brands in the world.
Right. That it is today one of the biggest brands in the world because Steve Jobs got back to the company in and not looking at his ego. He could have just said, you can go to hell. I will start my own new company, right? That did not happen because he ensured that his purpose is more important than ego clash or whatever. So leadership therefore involves sacrificing your comforts for the larger purpose. Leadership is not about day-to-day perks. It is more about legacy. So you need to, again, as I said, ask yourself, do you really want to be a leader or not? And are you someone who can describe yourself as emotionally intelligent? 4 aspects or 5 aspects to emotional intelligence. I'm using 4 or 5 because the 5th one in some sense is a combination of all the 4. Point number 1, this is from a framework created by a Nobel Prize winner, Daniel Kahneman. We will not get into the details, but the first thing is a leader needs to be self-aware. When you say self-aware, It is about understanding your own impact or effect on other people. Some of us overestimate our impact on other people. Some of us underestimate our impact. The truth is, all of us have some impact on other people. If I say something, I have the power to hurt you. If I say something, I have the power to build you. It is not an absolute power, it is a relative power. But trust me, there is no one sitting here, there is no one listening to me who does not have that power. Not that anybody has absolute power, but all of us have some power. Understanding that extent is the first point in understanding leadership. The second thing is being realistic. There's no point in overestimating ourselves and underestimating others, or the other way around. A leader is someone who gets them their self-assessment right. A third thing, self-deprecating humor. I don't know what you understand by self-deprecating humor. What is self-deprecating humor?
Getting humor.
What is self-deprecating humor?
You joke on yourself, your attitude or your
That's
character.
Right. Wahab is absolutely right. You see, all of us like to laugh along with others, which is one reason why shared jokes are more popular than, you might just read something and laugh, but that does not give you the same pleasure as when you share that among your friends and all of you laugh together, right? So there is something about it. But so all of us like to laugh together, but I don't think too many of us like to be laughed at, right? If your friends all get together and laugh at you, maybe once you will tolerate, twice maybe you might just shrug it off, but I'm sure you're not going to enjoy it much. But this is interesting because all of us like to laugh, but none of us like to be laughed at. But you know what the best part is? Everyone likes to laugh together. In which case, the interesting thing is this: if I can ensure that everyone is laughing, but the joke is on myself, it is very likely that most people would start laughing together with you. Not an easy thing, because who likes to be laughed at, right? But in this case, since you are able to laugh at your own limitations and weaknesses, make yourself one. Now, the last thing you would see most people in position do is to laugh at themselves. Because why would somebody in authority laugh at themselves? But if you see good leaders actually, occasionally take a dig at themselves, and they ensure that everybody laughs together with it. So this is something that this ability to laugh at themselves actually arises from a sense of confidence they have. Just because I have my team members laughing together with me, at me, I don't need to worry about it. I'm still a confident person. My confidence helps in that laughter. Is that easy? Not really.
Sir?
Yep.
Self-deprecating, sir, one who is modest of himself. Modest about critical of oneself.
So critical is self-deprecating. So use the word self-deprecating humor. So you are right. There is being a little bit of criticism at yourself, no doubt about it. But you're also able to laugh at that. So that's slightly more complicated than just being critical about yourself, because you also need to ensure that others laugh together with you. But yes, it is a very important ability. If you have, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Leaders who see themselves clearly, see their teams clearly. You know why I'm saying this?
Can I add a point?
Yep.
Sir, I may not be true, but laughing at you is at many times, maybe people can take you lightly, not seriously.
Okay. So
because in a team, when you want to control a people of 100 people, when you laugh a lot, they might not take you seriously, or that's like that.
Yeah, so I'm glad Saifuddin talked about this. You know why? Because this is one of the most common, understanding people have about. So which is one reason that if you see most people in authority, they always hold themselves reserved. Okay, they kind of smile very, they have this controlled smile, and they decide when people should smile. They don't laugh much, because in case they worry that other people might take them lightly and stuff. But the truth is this: if you are in an organization, everybody knows your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, I want to make it very, very clear, Saifuddin. Okay, everybody in St. Mary's College, especially in my team, everyone will know my strengths and my weaknesses. The difference is they might be talking about it behind my back. They may not be talking about it directly to me because they are scared of my authority. The moment I joke about my weaknesses, something interesting happens. Everybody who knew about my weakness suddenly realized that I am aware of my weakness. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? There is no one listening to me here. There is no one listening to me. None of you, none of us, none of the teachers included, no one who is perfect. Do you agree? Every person listening to me, I mean, if there are perfect people, I think you are in the wrong place. You should not be doing BBA here. So this is a fact. Every one of us, we have our strengths, we have our limitations. My strengths could be very different from your strengths. Your strengths could be very different from my strengths. But there is no one listening to me who does not have his or her strengths. And similarly, weaknesses as well. The question then is, do I acknowledge my weakness, or do I let my people think that I think I am perfect, but they all know about my weakness or not? So this is something that most people struggle with, which is one reason why most people in authority struggle with, controlling their image management, or they attempt at what is called image management. But the truth is, almost everyone knows what everybody else's weakness and strength. What is interesting is most of us, I'm sure whether it is, me or any of your teachers or any of you who are listening to me, all of us are actually very good at figuring out other people's weaknesses. Not so much our own weaknesses. Which means if you're all, by the time you are all one semester down, in St. Mary's College, I am sure all your friends will know your weaknesses. The question is, will you know your weakness? 2, will you care to admit it? 3, will you do something about it? We can all
agree on that.
Yeah, so this is one way. So a true leader, that's why I'm saying the leadership versus management, that's the point. A true leader is someone who is not going to pretend that he's perfect. In fact, the only credential I need to have to be a leader is that I see a better future than which you are not currently seeing. In fact, nothing else matters. In fact, I don't need to be a good orator. I don't need to be street smart. I don't need to have my hair colored black. I don't need to look smarter than any of you. No, if I can show you a future which is better than what you can see, and I can get you there, I can be a leader, irrespective of there could be, the reason I'm saying this is among our own friends, you would see this. Sometimes we look down upon people who are less, whose English accent has a mother tongue influence, for example, or who is less well-traveled compared to us, or whose sense of fashion is not as good or as sophisticated as ours, or whose style is different from us, or whose religious approach is different from us, or who comes from a different background. We start saying, no, we are smarter than they are, kind of. Actually, every person who you come across has something to teach you. Every person has his or her strengths. By keeping them out, by prejudging them and saying, look, they are not as good as we are, we are the ones probably who are, missing that opportunity to learn something from them. And that is the point about self-deprecating humor as well. The moment I present myself as someone who can laugh at myself, what happens is far more people think that, okay, I am approachable, that if they have a problem, they can share with me. What that leads also is something else. most people who work with me are happy to be in my team. I'm not bragging, by the way. You can ask your teachers about this. This is not a joke I'm making. The reason is because no one is scared of me. When you have people in authority being scary figures who pretend to be perfect, they will probably, you might listen to their orders, but you may have no clue why you are doing it except for the authority part of it. So this is something that I would want all of us to be aware. I'm really glad that you asked that question. So the first part, as I said, is about being self-aware. The second part is being self-regulated. Being self-aware is one thing. Being self-regulated is totally another. Self-regulation is again difficult. I talked about grit. I talked about consistency. Some days you don't feel like doing certain things, but you still do it. That is self-regulation. You don't act on your impulse. You might feel like giving a whack to your friend, but you don't do it because that's self-regulation. You being thoughtful at someone else's misery or condition. You being okay with ambiguity. You know what is ambiguity? What is ambiguity? Unmute and speak. What is ambiguity? The thing is, most of us like to be, yeah, Wahab, please.
I think it has something to do with being open-minded.
Okay, in a sense, it has to do with being open-minded as well. The challenge is, most of us would like our lives to be predictable. So when you come to college in the morning, you want things to happen in a particular way. When you go to a program, when you go to a party, when you go for something, you want everything to be clear. And you don't like nasty surprises. So you want things to be clear, predictable. But unfortunately, in real life, things don't work that way. They're ambiguous. They are uncertain. Especially as a leader, as I said, what does a leader do? A leader takes you from where you are currently to a new place, a new goal, a new destination. It is about purpose. And that is a problematic thing. That means a leader is taking the team along to a new place where you have not yet been. That journey will be anything but unambiguous. That journey will have ambiguity there. That journey will have uncertainty. Not everything that the leader is trying will work. In fact, if you are an entrepreneur who wants to start something, trust me, on an average, 6 or 7 out of 10 things that you try will fail miserably. About 2-3 things will somehow survive. 1 out of 10 might actually do well. But that one thing that does well eventually might cover up for the loss that you made in the 6 other things. If you are someone who is not okay with failure, if you are not someone who is not okay with ambiguity, leadership is not for you. In fact, one of the things that we have in this country, especially a culture, don't get me wrong, there are so many of you, some of you have come from Chaitanya Narayana Junior College system. The unfortunate thing about that system is failure is not tolerated. And that is actually bad for us as leaders. Failure is all right. The point is not to give up.
Yes, sir, true.
Absolutely. Every time you get knocked down, you don't fail. You fail when you refuse to get up back. It is not falling off that is a problem. Your refusal to get back up is what is failure. So it is not, so we need to have a healthy understanding of failure if we want to be leaders. And that,
sir,
yeah, Udbhav.
Mainly Chaitanya and Narayana, these 2 colleges, they'll not give rest for the children, sir.
No, that is not only, it's about giving rest. As I said, okay, if this is a certain expected marks 850, you get 849, people think you have failed. Expected mark 920, you got 919, you have not succeeded. No, that is pathetic. In fact, you would realize in very soon in life, 3 years from now, nobody cares what marks you got in 12th standard. Whereas 2 years of your life, the only skill that many of you developed was how to write a test. which is not a skill that you're going to make use of anytime in future. But that's how our systems have been. So all I am saying is during these 3 years of BBA, please understand that you need to develop a comfort for ambiguity. You need to be willing to take risks. Learn to treat failures as healthy ways of growing further and doing better. And this is something. And the last thing here is about integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is not honesty. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one else is watching. You see, if you are not jumping the signal because there is a policeman out there, that is not integrity. You are not jumping the signal even when no one else is watching because you think that's the right thing to do. That is integrity. Now, if a leader is not having integrity, you may think, how does it matter? He has authority, right? No, your people will realize that you are not being true to your own self. When you are not true to your own self, you would realize that at some point of time, when you tell your team member that don't worry, take that risk, I will be with you, the team member does not believe you because the team member does not think you have integrity. When you say that I have a bigger vision for you, please come along with me, the risk is worth it. If the team member doubts your integrity, the team member does not trust your vision anymore. So integrity is something that becomes critical aspect. The third thing in this context is being self-driven. So what was the first one? Self-aware. What is the second thing? Self-regulation. The third thing, self-driven. Self-drive is about motivation. Imagine having a leader who is bored at work. Right? You can't be. You can have a manager who is bored at work. That's different. You will still do it because manager has authority. But if you are a leader who is bored at work, you're not a leader. So this is something that you need to understand. If you want to be a leader, you need to be motivated by that purpose. And you need to push people and yourself to achieve beyond expectations. Keep raising the bar. Be optimistic. And I'm telling you from my own experience, the drive to excel is always contagious. When you talk to certain people who are good leaders, whether in a party or a social occasion, whatever it is, you would see something very interesting. The way they talk, you want to be part of the project. The way they talk, you want to be in their team, right? Because there is an excitement that is actually contagious. Do they get paid for it? Not necessarily. Do they fail occasionally? Several times. Do they get good designations? Not initially. But in the end, the journey is worth it. And the last part is what I call as empathy. You cannot lead a team without understanding your team members. Empathy is about your ability to understand not only what is being told to you, but also what is not being told to you. It is about understanding what your team members are going through. I want to say something here. Everyone listening to me today, is going through some problem or the other. There is no one in this audience, no one who is having a perfect life. The only difference is this: my struggles are not your struggles, meaning my struggles could be of a different nature than your struggles, and your struggles could be of a different nature than somebody else's. So any of you thinking that you have a tough life, but others don't have, you're getting wrong. It's just that their tough life could be in some other area. So as a leader, I need to understand that everyone has their strengths, everyone has their weaknesses, everyone has their good time, everyone has their bad times, everyone has their set of problems. And if I can do that, and if I can help them in their tough times, they would be happy to be in my team. That holds true with all of us as well. The bigger the team, this challenge is much more, because as you are leading 200 people, for you to understand 200 people and their problems gets complicated, right? That's not easy. You have 3 people in your team, that's one thing. That brings me to the final. That's why I said 4 or 5. The fifth point is actually a combination of all these 4. Friendliness with a purpose. Again, to come back to Saifuddin's point. Should a leader be a good friend, or a leader be someone who orders things around? A manager can afford not to be a friend. In my opinion, a good leader cannot afford to be anything but a friend, because you need to communicate things, but you also need to, communicate with purpose. I want to touch upon a very interesting. Okay, how many of you have? I think I spoke about it in a previous session. Maybe not with you people. How many of you have seen the auditions of? How many of you have seen Indian Idol or America's Got Talent auditions?
Indian Idol auditions, I have ideas, sir.
Okay. So these are interesting things, right? Everybody who comes there comes with passion. So if they were not passionate about it, they wouldn't have come there in the first place. But let me ask you this. Have you found anybody during auditions where they start singing and you were like, can someone ask them to shut up? Have you come across that kind of a situation?
Yes, sir.
Of course,
Yes, sir.
right? So what is it that they are lacking? Passion? No, they're not lacking passion. They are passionate. That's why they risk everything and come in front of other people and do the audition. You know what they are lacking? Wahab, you're saying something, I can't hear you.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, perhaps self-awareness, but more than that, what they are lacking are good friends. You know why I say this? Good friends are people who tell you the truth. You may not like people who tell you the truth, especially in giving you feedback proper, but good friends can prevent public embarrassment. Now, I'm not saying that you should keep listening to other people who tell you can't do something. No, that's not what I'm saying. All I'm trying to say is you must have people in your team who can tell you the truth. You can decide what to do with that truth. That's a different story. But having people in your team who can tell you the truth matters a lot, which applies to the leader as well. If the team members do not tell the truth to the leader because they are scared of the leader, it is whose loss? It is the leader's loss, but ultimately it is the team's loss as well. You would have hit the iceberg and crashed before someone will come and tell you, I had actually seen that iceberg 20 kilometers away. A leader who has team members who will tell you the truth will have someone watching out and alerting in advance that they are going in the wrong direction. So this is something that you need to understand. We are talking about leadership in a context of relationship, and leaders actually help teams become greater than the sum of their individuals. 1 + 1, if it is equal to 2, then there is no point saying that they are a team of 2. If 1 + 1 is more than 2, then there is a point in saying that they are a team of 2. Otherwise, they are a set of 2 individuals. That's why there is a very famous acronym for team. Together, everyone achieves more. What is a team? Together, the leader achieves more? No. Together, everyone achieves more. Who puts together that team? The leader puts together the team. So what is leader's greatest contribution? The leader's greatest contribution is a team. In fact, I ask this question always. What is Steve Jobs' greatest development? What is Steve Jobs' greatest?
Leader means one who leads or commands a group, organization, or a country.
Yeah, that is in terms of a functional role. But my question specifically here is, say Steve Jobs came with Apple. Apple created iPhones, iMacs, iPods. You can talk about a list of I's there, right? But what is Steve Jobs' greatest creation? Steve Jobs' greatest creation is not iMac. It is not iPhone. It is not iPod. His greatest creation is the team that created all of this. And that is what makes Steve Jobs a leader. So it is not iPod which makes Steve Jobs a leader, but the team which created these innovative products, the teams which ensured these kind of outcomes, those teams Steve Jobs put together, and that's why he's a leader. I have a question for you and I leave it at that. Can introverts be great leaders? Dikshita seems to say no.
Yes, sir. They can be.
Aisha says yes.
Sir, no.
Okay, Mansi says no.
They can be, but not good leaders.
Okay, they can be, but not good leaders. Okay.
Of course, they can be great leaders, sir.
Arun
They
says they
have
can be
a
great
high
leaders.
intuition.
So what is interesting is, you know, all of us, as if you were, there is a scale of introversion to extroversion. So nobody is a perfect introvert. Nobody is a perfect extrovert. So it's a scale, actually. All of us fit in somewhere in that range. What are the strengths of introverts? Can someone tell me what are the strengths of introverts?
They listen more than they speak.
They're good listeners.
Okay, excellent. They are good listeners. Excellent, excellent. They are good listeners. Okay.
And they're patient enough.
They are patient. Okay, interesting.
Observation skills.
Excellent. Observation. Their observation skills are usually pretty good, and they think before they speak. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Probably they overthink, but they think before they speak.
Act according to the situation.
Act according to the situation. Okay, interesting. Anything else?
They're not too dramatic, they're simple.
Okay, good. Okay. Excellent. So you have all given me wonderful points about the strengths of introverts. Now, we just discussed 5 as we among the many things that we discussed, we said intelligence, technical skills, and emotional skills, right? Of which we said emotional skills are the most important things for leadership, especially of a large organization. If you realize that almost every point you just mentioned right now as strengths of introverts actually are signs of emotional intelligence. Do you realize that? Whether it is observation skills, whether it is listening more than they speak, right? Whether it is introspection, whether it is self-awareness, all of those you would realize are actually signs of emotional skills. So that means there are several strengths introversion brings into leadership. What about extroverts? Am I saying that therefore extroverts have no strength? No. Extroverts are good at what? Persuasion. They can be the life of a party. They can motivate other people, right? They are self-driven. Extroverts bring their strengths as well. So this is a range. You know what? If any of us are aspiring to be leaders, we need to first identify where we stand on that introversion to extroversion scale. If you are an introvert, you need to consciously build some of those strengths which extroversions bring into your personality. Am I saying therefore become an extrovert? No, not at all. You being an introvert has its benefits. Similarly, if you are an out and out extrovert, remember you have to build on the strengths which introversion brings and add that to your portfolio if you want to be a leader. So everyone can be good leaders, provided you have a purpose in the first place. Provided you know you have better ideas to take your team along to someplace better. You cannot be a leader without a purpose. You can be a manager because someone asked you to be a manager. You cannot be a leader because someone asked you to be a leader. This is something that you need to understand, and I will end with this. Being a leader is an everyday thing. You are either a leader or you are not. You can't say that I am sometimes a leader. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
From where did you get this thought?
I don't know where exactly I got this thought, but this is something that I've been talking about for quite some time. So I'm assuming that someplace, somewhere, I figured this out. So it is not a quote from someone else. It is my own quote that I put there. That's why you don't see anybody else's name there.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
So the reason I am saying this is, if you are a leader, you are a leader always, every day. You don't say that, okay, today I woke up on the right side of the bed, so today I'm going to be a leader. Yesterday I was not, so I'm not. That doesn't work like that. And you know what? Some of us are waiting to become leaders after someone gives us some authority, after someone gives us some designation. Some of us are going to be leaders. Some of us think that we will become leaders once someone appoints me as a regional manager, or once someone appoints me as CEO. But you know what? It doesn't work like that. If you are a leader, you become a leader long before you get a designation. And that is something that you need to understand. Again, am I saying that all of us need to be leaders? Not really. All of us cannot be leaders. All of us can be managers. All of us cannot be leaders. But if you are a leader in the first place, if you are self-aware, if you are self-regulated, if you are self-driven, you have empathy and social skills, and above all, if you have a purpose, and you want to make a difference, and you know how to get your team to a better place, then you are a leader, irrespective of when you are going to get that recognition or not. Someday, the world will recognize you as a leader and give you a designation. But you don't become a leader when you get a designation. You are a leader or you are not a leader. If you are a leader, someday you will get that recognition. You are not wanting to be a leader in order for that recognition. You are recognized of a pre-existing fact. If you were a leader, you were a leader always. So with that, I will end this discussion. I hope you have some understanding of what I was talking about. I hope you would all strive to be leaders, knowing fully well that there is nothing necessary about all of us having to be leaders. You're all going to do your BBA, so you will all be trained to be managers, but being trained to be managers does not make you leaders, but being a leader could surely make you a better manager and eventually succeed in corporate life. Thank you very, very much. I'm open for questions.
Okay, so I think everyone got the point what Sir tried to convey us all, that how leaders can have a big impact on everything they are in. So with this, thank you so much, Matthew sir, for this enlightening session. For sure, we all are benefited with this, and for sure, if we are not leader, will inbuild some qualities to be leader for sure. Thank you so much, Matthew. So once again.
Any questions, or we will?
Any questions, anyone? You can put it in the chat box as well.
There was a question regarding introverts being a leader. Introverts don't really have good communication skills. And the point you made about being a good leader is to share the vision. Even though if an introvert has a great vision, if that particular introvert is not willing or can't share the vision with the team, how is that being a good leader?
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's the reason I said see, we talked about 4 key skills or 5 key skills for emotional intelligence. One of the things that we did was we identified in IQ, technical skills and emotional skills are the 3 base for being a leader. And then we said IQ and technical skills are necessary conditions, but not sufficient conditions for leadership. So key differentiator was emotional intelligence. In that emotional intelligence, we talked about 4 and 5 features. That is self-awareness, self-regulation, self-driven, empathy, and social skills, right? Now, if you look at the scale, you would realize that when it comes to self-awareness, generally the introvert has an advantage over extrovert. When it comes to self-regulation, again, the introvert has an advantage over the extrovert. When it comes to self-driven, it is a little bit mixed balance, right? The introvert has some advantage in terms of self-motivating, but motivating other people, the extrovert has an advantage. When it comes to empathy, again, you would see the introvert is usually more empathetic than the extrovert. But when it comes to the fifth point, that is social skills, the extrovert has a clear advantage over the introvert. So what it shows you is that the introverts have certain strengths, the extroverts have certain strengths. If you are an introvert, if there's a scale that I talked about, introversion 1 and 2, extroversion, if you are on this side of the scale, you need to consciously develop skills from that side. If you are on that side of the scale, you need to consciously develop skills from this end. If you want to be better leaders, you need to work on both sides of the story. And in fact, I'm glad you asked this question, Wahab, because this is also one reason why, if you look at all successful startups, you would see something very interesting. We all talk about Steve Jobs when it comes to Apple, but you know what? It is not just Steve Jobs who created Apple. It is Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak together. Most of us don't hear about Wozniak because Wozniak is an introvert. But without Wozniak, you wouldn't have had Jobs creating Apple, because the visionary is Jobs, but the actual person. So Steve Jobs built castles in the air, but it is Steve Wozniak who built foundations for the castles on the ground. The same thing with Microsoft. We all hear about Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates, but there was a co-founder there. Who is that? Paul Allen. Every single successful company that you're talking about, you would see this interesting thing, that for every one person who you hear about, there's another silent partner who usually build the company from scratch together, and usually they complement their strengths. So somebody is on the introversion scale on the left side, somebody is on the extroversion side. So when together their strengths complement, together they act as a leadership unit. And so I'm really glad, Wahab, you asked this question.
Sir, one I have.
Yep.
Sir, a leader means basically we have to have a, for becoming a leader, we have to have a lot of knowledge and vision.
Okay. Yeah, you see, knowledge is something that you can depend on your team members, but if you don't have a vision, you cannot lead. Okay. In fact, just think of it, right? Steve Jobs is not an IT guy. Steve Jobs actually learned calligraphy and things like that. Okay. So how did they build such strong hardware? Because he hired people who have the knowledge. So the most important thing for a leader is vision. Knowledge is actually secondary, because you can always hire people with knowledge if you know what you're looking for. So I think that is something that you need to understand. Anybody else? All right.
Sir, if leader should have a bigger purpose than himself, then how does a leader find his own purpose?
Excellent. So this is a very, very interesting question Arun has asked. In my opinion, you don't go searching for a purpose in order to be a leader. You become a leader because you have a purpose. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Let me put it this way. Let me give you an example. Okay. Now, I want to go from Hyderabad to, let's say, Delhi. And therefore, now I know my destination is Delhi. That is where I want to get. I want to go in that direction. If I am clear about that, then what happens is someone comes on the way and tells me there is a flight to Colombo currently available. There is a ticket available at subsidized rate on a flight to Colombo. I don't just board that flight. Why? My interest is not to get onto a flight. My interest is to get to Delhi. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? That is what purpose is about. Many a times we confuse purpose with the path. If my purpose is to get to Delhi, if eventually it means that I have to walk a long way to Delhi, part of it at least, I might do it. not because I find it comfortable, but because my target destination is that place. I don't board another flight which is coming that way and someone has given me a free ticket to that side. This is something that I think all of us need to understand. When I say all of us need to understand this, because many a times, some of you might want to become entrepreneurs. What is an entrepreneur? Somebody who wants to start their own business, right? In some sense. Most times when I ask people why they want to become an entrepreneur, they will tell me that they want to become an entrepreneur because they want to make money. This is like saying, I want to go to Delhi because I want to get onto a flight. You see, the purpose of living is not to breathe. You breathe in order to live. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Similarly, the purpose of a startup is to solve some problems or create some comforts, create something of value for the audience. Money that you make is what you make in the process. And that clarity is very, very important. And if you understand this clarity, you will also understand what I said about purpose and leadership. What you need to have first is a solution to a problem, a destination, a place that you want to take your team to, then you can be a leader. If you decide that I want to be a leader, now I need to find my own purpose. It is like trying to say that I want to make money, therefore I'm going to start business. Most startups fail because their purpose often is just to be a startup. If your purpose is not bigger than just being a startup, if your purpose is not about solving problems, if your purpose is not about creating customer value, you will never succeed as a startup. But when you succeed as a startup, you will actually make money. The same thing applies here. So the first thing, Arun, is to understand, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, when I say want, you need to understand what you are passionate about. You need to understand what your skill sets are. Just because you are passionate about something, that doesn't give you purpose. Just because your skill sets are something doesn't bring you purpose. You need to align your passions, your purpose, along with where you want to get to. And this sometimes is a long journey. You need to cultivate things. Do not look for overnight results. It is about developing good habits. It's about developing. As I was responding to Wahab, as I said, if you are on the introvert side, develop those extrovert skills, some of them. If you're on the extrovert side, develop some of those introvert skills. Get those. In the meanwhile, learn more, acquire more skills, figure out the ability to get everybody together to a better place. And you will eventually become a leader. And as you succeed as a leader, someone will give you a designation. Someone will give you an authority. The authority and the designation should follow you being a leader, not the other way around. I hope I've answered that, Arun. I don't know, maybe not.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I think, Payal, I think most people have either understood everything or are sleeping by now. So I don't think we should.
No, sir, I don't think the session have let anyone sleep, because it was a awakening session for sure. A lot of knowledge to be gained, not for now, for lifelong. Thank you so much, sir, for taking us through a different journey on leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you everyone for patient listening. As I said, I look forward to meeting you all on campus, hopefully in a month's time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Okay, thank you everyone for the patient listening and very good participation. Okay, so tomorrow we will have the last session of this week. Then we will have a 3 days break in between. Okay, so tomorrow we will have a session by me. Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, take care and have a nice day. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
madam.
Bye.
Bye, madam.
Thank you.